Welcome to...
This is why musicians need therapy.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Rich Davidson, and over here I'm joined, as always, by the lovely and talented Eric Forbes, and next to him, with his devilishly chiseled good looks, all the way from Australia, Mr. Craig Hendry. Fellas, how are we today?
If you could choose, I'll take the talented part, but maybe something a little more masculine next time rather than lovely.
Oh, come on now. Come on. Oh, man. No, I'm just trying to be progressive. You know? Reach out to the young demographic.
You're allowed to be lovely.
So, by the time this show airs, it'll already be past, but I guess we're kind of getting ready for the Memorial Day weekend, which is good for me because it's like a 3-day weekend. And I like that. So, what do you, Craig, you got anything planned for this weekend? Any gigs you want to promote?
No, nothing. Zero. Sorry, I know that's not really very helpful. I think I have a gig this weekend out in Newburn, but I think it's a private gig.
Oh boy, is it private? Yeah.
It's with work.
So nobody can come.
Yeah, I don't know what it's.
Okay.
We could talk off air about it. It's going to be a doozy.
It's unique.
Oh, you know about it, Eric?
I do.
Okay. Oh, okay. I might have an idea, but yeah, we don't have to. We don't have to discuss it now. And Eric, I know you're going to be in Charleston this weekend. Actually, starts on Thursday, right?
Yeah, I'll be there on Thursday. Yep.
You'll be at John King's Grill and Dueling Piano Bar,
right there on the corner of King and another street. Yeah.
How ironic.
The other one.
Yeah.
Is it John? I think it's John, right?
Yeah. Well, that would make sense, Craig.
Oh.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, what do we call it? Well, what's the intersection?
That's like the Western Theater the Wiltern Theater in Los Angeles. It's on the corner of oh gosh, I don't remember now. Anyway, it's just named after the two streets that it's on. It was a very original name. But yeah, so look, if any of our listeners happen to be in Charleston, just head on down to King Street and check out, as Tyson Leslie would call him, the mighty Eric Forbes. You won't be disappointed.
Just listen for the mediocre covers, and you'll be there.
Well, I was really trying to pub you, but okay, fine.
Martin Short was talking to Steve Martin one time about his banjo playing, and he said, "Steve, your banjo playing is so moving. It moves me to get up and go to the next bar." Yeah. I've heard that about my drumming a few times, actually. And Craig just celebrated a birthday this past Sunday, so congratulations, Craig. You are now old enough to drink in the States.
Yes, finally.
What is like drinking age in Australia? Like 5 or 6?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, gone are the days where Craig had to pay some drifter at the gas station to buy him a 6-pack.
Oh, wait, I don't have to do that anymore. Sweet.
No, you don't have to do that. I actually did. I did that once. Me and a
Golly.
Oh, God. Me and a friend of mine, it was 1987, I think. And I was living in West Palm Beach, and we were driving down to the Hollywood Sportatorium to see, I guess at that time it would be WWF wrestling. And so he's like, "Hey, we should buy some beer." I'm like, "Well, we can't buy any beer. We're not old enough." And he goes, "Yeah, but somebody will buy it for us." And we didn't know how much beer cost. Yeah. I had like $15 and he had 20. So we gave this guy like $35 and he brought out like 2 24 packs of Coors. I'm like, "What are we going to do with all this beer? I don't even like beer." And my friend Jamie was driving this like Toyota MR2, which had a trunk that was relatively the size of the glove compartment. So we put one of the 24 packs in there. I was holding the other one in my lap, and we got to the arena and just stayed outside the arena, and we finished 24 of them. which was way too much.
Wow.
Now, I don't remember being overly drunk, but I do remember having to go to the bathroom like every 2 minutes. So I don't remember much about the wrestling match because I was always in the bathroom. But yeah, that's the one and only time I had a stranger buy beer for us.
Have you ever liked beer, Rich?
No, I never did. Never did.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think we drank about 12 each before.
Yeah.
Before you realized you didn't like it.
Yeah, well, peer pressure.
Yeah,
You know,
no, I know what you mean.
I was weak, still am, but it was a story to tell. I'm not entirely sure if it was enjoyable, but yeah.
The drinking age in Australia was 18. And when I was 17, there was we were graduating high school senior, and the grade 12 classes graduate a week earlier than everybody else, and that extra week, all the grade 12 kids, at least back in my day, they probably still do. They go celebrate, party, whatever, and it's called Schoolies Week. There's a lot of people go to the Gold Coast. It's all whatever. Anyway, all over the country. Actually, I'm thinking more of Queensland because there's probably a different timeline in New South Wales. Anyway, two friends of mine and I went to we rented this house up in the rainforest and whatnot, and we just going to party up there on our own. Anyway, we were 17 and we went to the liquor store on Monday morning, like 8 o'clock on Monday morning of Schoolies Week. We're the only ones in there when we got as we would call it, a shopping trolley, a cart, and loaded it up with beer and I think Captain Morgan rum and
nice.
like a bunch of cigars. And
oh my God,
we went through the checkout. Like, the three of us were all 17. And she didn't bat an eyelid. The lady checking us out, she was like, didn't ask for ID. Like,
oh wow.
I don't know. Like, it's pretty obvious what we were doing. And we bought all this booze and off we went.
I often wondered what the people in the parking lot were thinking of us because clearly we were underaged.
Yeah.
But we were just pounding beers, and I just if I saw that today, I'd be like, hey, are you old enough? But I probably wouldn't, but I'd think it.
You'd be that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm actually not going to be that guy, but yeah, wow. And yeah. I if I like beer, I guess it might have been a better story, but I really don't. But hey, the folly of youth, I guess. So let me paint this picture. So it's a bitterly cold, rainy, icy night in January, and you guys have finished out what would probably largely be considered a fairly mediocre show, and not because your musical skills are dwindling, but because the terrible weather just kept everybody at home, understandably. And you're having kind of a contentious discussion with the owner of the Dueling Piano Bar, who is also one of the performers, and in the course of that conversation, he tells you that March 14th is going to be the last show. Surprised? Maybe, but probably not, because, we all have eyes to see and ears to hear, and we all watched in real time the precipitous decline in business that was happening at the piano bar for, the last 6 months or so, with the exception of maybe the last month and a half, because once word got out that it was closing, it got busy again. And I often joked we should have told people we were closing a year ago. But so not necessarily, maybe a little surprised, but more, I think, the weight of reality, because, when we saw things going downhill, there were lots of discussions swirling about, in terms of, what's the outcome, and it's probably going to close and that sort of thing. So I think we had all kind of determined that it was more a matter of when rather than if. But here's the thing. So you guys are full-time musicians. So for most people, regardless of their passion for music, music is more supplemental to them. You know, maybe at the end of a long day, they pick up their guitar and they play along with their favorite song, or they try to learn a new song, or maybe they have a group of friends that they, you know, get together and jam with every so often, or even maybe they have a band and they gig out on the weekend. But for them, it's supplemental. For you guys, anything you do beyond music is usually more supplemental. Eric, I know you give music lessons, sometimes do substitute teaching. Craig, we've talked about you doing some light construction. But at the end of the day, you guys are full-time musicians. And, you know, poof, in just a simple conversation, that stability, Eric, that you had for over 7 years, and Craig, that you had for about 1.5 years was gone. And, you know, now you're looking at the calendar beyond March 14th and saying, well, how do I fill my calendar? What's next? I think that's probably the biggest question that was swirling around. And so now you're a card-carrying member of the hustle culture. Now you got to grind. Whether it's your first time or whether you've, you know, come back from a long hiatus. And I guess the question that I would pose the questions that I would pose are, first of all, how do you feel about having to do this? And how do you navigate doing it? Because, you know, there's benefits to it, of course, but it's also riddled with trapdoors. And, you know, how do you cope with that? Because that's what you're doing right now. And, you know, maybe is there any advice that you can offer people that are either facing the prospect of having to get into this hustle culture and having to grind, or maybe people that are already in it and that aren't faring very well? And I know that's a lot of questions to ask. So maybe we could just start with, you know, how do you feel about being here now? How do you feel about being in that hustle culture?
I can tie in several themes that we've talked about in past episodes to answer this question. One of the themes being stability leading to stagnation, leading to a lack of professional growth. Another theme being just getting too comfortable. You know, and I'll say that I've been through waves of different feelings since I've, you know, my professional life has changed. Like you said, I had the same schedule pretty much for over 7 years, and it took a while for me to grieve the loss of convenience, with how convenient that gig was, proximity to the house, lack of manual labor, and kind of a built-in know what to expect type of crowd, know what to expect type of night. For 7 years, I love a routine, and that became a good routine, and I felt really comfortable there. So I kind of came out of it kicking and screaming, thinking, you know, damn, why do I have to, like, everything's going to be so much harder now. And it's really easy to fall into a really negative headspace when you think of it in terms of that, which I definitely did for a bit. And what I'm trying to do now is find the positive in it, which is, for one, I can earn more on the road. Two, it allows me to grow professionally, perform for different types of events, different types of crowds with different types of people. I need to, beef up on some songs that other people have always done that, you know, I'm going to be the one doing now, stuff like that. I'm using it as a tool to get better at my job. And if I can focus on it with that lens, it helps me stay a lot more positive. I also have to, come to terms with there's just no getting around, aside from, gigs I take here and there with just established dueling piano bars, there's no way of getting around the manual labor and like hard work that it takes to set up and break down a show, and the late night drives home. Those aren't things that I love to do, but I have to accept that there's just no way around it. I have to earn an income, and this is the way I do it. And I can be unhappy doing it, or I can choose to find the positive aspects of it, which are, having new experiences, playing for different types of people, different types of crowds, and learning new things, doing things differently than I have for 7 years. And that can be an exciting idea if you can lend yourself to that.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. That's putting a positive spin on it. That's awesome. I guess for me, I'm just trying to think. It was, it was such a brief, that year and a half sort of flew by. And prior to that, I was, I've been hustling for 10 plus years. I did about 3 years when I first started doing dueling pianos full time in Texas, full time employed, steady paycheck, and that was 4, sometimes 5 nights a week. So it had quite amount of stability, but then, from that time on, I had been, doing all the hustling, and I had been substituting. I think we've talked about this a little bit before. I'd been substituting at Plus here and there. That's how I got to know you guys. And gosh, I know the numbers post-COVID were never quite what they were pre-COVID, but we still had some pretty awesome nights.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I mean, there were pros and cons to being full-time at Plus just for my commitments with my family and everything else. But I sort of always knew that, like, if a full-time position became available, like, that would be pretty awesome just to have that consistency. And when it came up, I was like, hey, here we go. This is awesome. This is going to be really good. This is good timing for my family, great money, all this sort of stuff. And it just slowly, womp womp.
Well, it was, I think it was, I think the shift came in June of last year. Because
that's right. There was a bit of a line in the sand where we can all trace the.
Now, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but for about 6 months, they were some of the best and most entertaining shows I had ever seen there. And then that changed, and I think that that I think really kind of introduced that precipitous downward trend. And I know that your perspective on it is a little different too in terms of the grinding, because you started. I think we talked about it before. Your first show at Plus was like in July of 2021, and you were there, periodically, and it wasn't until more recently that you became full-time. So well, I guess the other thing too about this, and I've mentioned it to you guys before. I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but there's a documentary. It's either on Netflix or Amazon. It might actually be on both, called Hired Guns. And this is more dealing with the touring aspect of it, but these musicians that have to go from one gig to the next, because they might do a 2 or 3 month tour with somebody, but surprisingly they're not always paid exorbitant amounts of money for doing that. And once that show is over, once that gig is over, they got to go do something else. Now, what you guys do is a little different, because it's not like you're booking a battery of shows. You're booking one show, and then you have to book another show. So it is a little different, but the realities of it are that this can lead to just exhaustion, burnout. A lot of people try to be creative during those times, and sometimes it's hard to do that because hustle culture is where artistic endeavors and practicality collide, and sometimes they don't go very well.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to take a gig that maybe you wouldn't take because you need the money. I mean, that's just a reality. And how much of that is sacrificing your artistic expression? Look, we've all done gigs that we didn't want to do, but we had to because we needed the money. And I think you're more apt to have to do that, when you're in this hustle culture, when you're grinding, because there are just certain realities. And how do you navigate through that? Because, Eric talked about, the setting up and, tearing down, which I absolutely hate. And then driving, sometimes several hours to and from the gig.
Last week was 12 hours on the road for me.
Yeah. That's insane.
Brutal.
Same with Atlanta.
At least gas is reasonably priced, so it's pretty.
No, yeah, it's great.
Thank God for that.
Might have to.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Looking at getting a horse.
Not a bad idea. Gosh, I I probably drive more than that, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But yeah, you put all that into context, and then top it off, you're playing a show that just maybe wasn't very good, for whatever reason. And I'm not calling out anybody or anything like that, but they happen. Even the gigs that you think are going to be good sometimes are terrible for whatever reason. Maybe the crowd sucks, or maybe you were having technical difficulties. And I guess I just wonder, do you just kind of have to put that out of your mind and try to focus on whatever is next? How much does that get into your head, especially if that happens, more regularly? And I don't know if it does, but how do you navigate that?
I'm just kind of learning as I go right now, because it's been just right at 2 months. And May is, May's been, and I'm grateful for it. May's been, and will continue to be a doozy until it's through. A lot of driving, and I'm not sure how many months like this I can do. When you speak about the burnout. I want to be conscious of that. I want to. Make sure that I'm always at a point where I enjoy playing and don't just get to where every day is just a huge dread. And there's certainly gigs I look forward to more than others. Putting a calendar together, hustling for, to fill a calendar is extremely stressful. You got months like May that have come together really well. And then there might be a month that just doesn't click, and it, you don't have as many gigs, and it can be, stressful if you're not bringing in as much money. So it's all like just the idea that you kind of always have to worry about it. It's just kind of a nagging thing that's just really never going to stop. Every month is going to keep coming and keep ending, and you have to every month it never stops. It's kind of a overwhelming idea when I really try and think about it. So I just try not to get so ahead in the future, put so much pressure on it. But it's part that part of it is extremely stressful. And taking the hustle culture, and speaking about it a little more generally, not just with doing piano calendar. The hustle culture is stressful in that way that you're going to have highs and lows, and you got to learn to find your balance and live somewhere in the middle. And you have to really get numb to rejection. I feel like you have to get numb to, just throwing your name out there in every arena. And If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you can't let it discourage you from trying again. The people I talk to that are really out there pitching shows and such, like they just cast a very wide net, and if out of that net they get 5 or 6 hits, then it's a success. So
Yeah.
They're also very good at talking about themselves, and I don't mean that in a facetious way. Like they sell themselves. They sell their shows really, really well.
Well, they're the product. So they need to.
Yeah.
So what do you have anything to add to that, Craig? Because like I said, you probably have more experience than any of us at this.
Yeah.
How do you have that anxiety from month to month, and how do you deal with it if you do?
Yeah, I do, and it's I mean, I have all sorts of, even just little things like I have just this niggling fear that I've double booked myself, and I turn up to a gig and I'm supposed to be somewhere else, like.
Dude, I have nightmares about that, I swear. And unfortunately, when I just got into this, I wasn't used to keeping a calendar, and I screwed up a couple times, and I did double book myself.
Yep.
And so I just look like an asshole, and I but I have nightmares now about getting a call at like 6:30, being like, "Hey, we're just finishing setting up. What time are you going to be here? Where? Where?
What are you
Where?"
Yeah. Oh no! No! Yeah, I can imagine that would be a problem. I think for some people more than others. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because after sort of so many years of just the physical aspect of booking a gig, turning up, doing it, collecting a paycheck, which, by the way, it does sort of feel a bit more like just paycheck to paycheck rather than the times that I've been on a team, especially like we said, that first 6 months where I was full-time at Plus. It felt a bit more like a band or a team, or it just felt a little bit more creative. Whereas, just filling your calendar can get a bit rote. But this might be a good segue. I was sort of, we were kicking the can down the road about this topic, and I was thinking about how, hustle culture has sort of bled over into just all sorts of aspects of people's lives, not just sort of creative people, the gig culture, the freelance culture, it's sort of everywhere. And this idea, I guess, essentially sort of propped up by social media about passive income, side hustle, passive income sort of stuff. And I don't know if it's just the algorithm or it was my HomePod Siri speaker listening to me, but I just started getting all these like videos and content creators about like, they all had a course to sell. Like,
oh gosh.
So now there's hustle culture, and then there's this meta, like how to sell a course at being good at hustle culture. It's like the snake eating its proverbial tail. It's like, wait, what are we doing?
Hustle culture for dummies.
And so I was like, okay, I've got to join. This is how it is. So like, I beefed up my website. I tried to put more stuff on social media and followers and then I spent $1,000 on a course, and it's all these lectures and stuff, and really at the end, like, great for the guy selling the course, but he was just
he cleaned up.
He was a and I'm not saying I don't think it's like evil or anything, or like unscrupulous, but it does take advantage. Like there's like, because you always feel like, I'm just one piece of information away from, $5,000 gigs or $10,000 gig. Like it's out there. I've got the talent. I've got the experience. And so it does feel a little bit exploitive. But anyway, I tried that a little bit. But a lot of those courses were just. Like this one particular course was just like, make sure you got a profile on some of these online hosting websites where you like Gig Salad and the Bash and stuff, and having a profile that's visible. Which that's the other thing is. Sorry, I'm going off on tangents, but
please.
Even like SEO and website hosting stuff, like it's very like if you type in dueling pianist for hire or whatever in the Triangle area, for example, like the first hits are going to be like your Gig Salas and the Bash, these companies that spend so much money on their SEO.
Yeah.
And for your own little piddly little website being hosted by Wix, how do you compete with that? So it's like, all right. So, I think I've culled it down, but for a while there, I was like spending $100 a month on a Gig Salad membership, $300 a year on the Bash. I have a Thumbtack profile where they charge you even if you get a lead, and it's exhausting.
I hate Thumbtack. Gig Salad sounds a little better if you can just pay monthly, but
it's a good crossover.
Thumbtack, you get charged for a lead whether it goes anywhere or not. It's crazy.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Craig, because and yes, I think the whole premise here is, we like to talk from a musician standpoint, but I also like to think that some of the things we talk about are more universal, not just what musicians face. And for me, starting this podcast, we know nothing. I didn't know a thing about it. I really didn't, and I still know very little. I'm, as Eric said, I'm learning as I go. And the thing of it is that I wish I had said it, but I didn't. But somebody said this about today's the music industry today, is that today the audience never leaves. They're always there. Whether it's on your phone or you're looking at streams, you're looking at downloads, you're looking at engagements, and it's always there.
That's really interesting.
And for this, we're starting out. We're not famous. We're not household names. We don't have that luxury. Now, can it be successful? Of course it can, but it's going to take time.
Now, I did get recognized at the Cheesecake Factory a couple weeks ago, so you can speak for yourself on that one there, Rich.
Free cheesecake?
No, I didn't get anything. Just say, are you that piano bar guy? Yeah, I'm the piano bar guy.
Well, I'll start to post that. Recognized at the Cheesecake Factory. That's good.
What did Mitch Hedberg say? Some of you might know me from the store.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say it.
No, it's all good. But there was a time, probably the first 2 to 3 weeks where I was just looking, oh man, this post got nothing. And then this post got, 200 views. And I got to the point to where I wasn't really paying a lot of attention to the actual product, just how the product was being perceived. And it's this constant, you got to constantly do this, Granted, it's not necessarily hustle culture, but in a way it is, because you've got to always maximize, always,
oh God,
more. And what I had to kind of step back a little bit and first of all try to focus a little bit more on the product and understand that it's a process and finding information. And I agree with you, Craig. I don't think people offering this information, offering these courses are necessarily unscrupulous. The problem is you can find an expert to agree with anything. One person said, I remember kind of going back and forth with at Plus Dueling Piano Bar, because for a while I was kind of in charge of the social media, and they brought somebody in to kind of supplement, and his whole thing was, we have to post all the time. But no, but everybody else says no, don't do that. There's like 2 people out there that said do that. But the thing is, you can find experts who'll say the complete opposite of what another expert says.
Yeah.
And so who do you follow? What do you do? I had to kind of step back and lean on the experiences that I had when I was doing the social media, where, when I started, we had 8,000 followers. And when I left, a business that had been failing for a couple of years, I left with and there were 13,000 followers on that site. Now, that's not explosive growth, but it's growth. And I did it organically. I didn't pay for clicks or pay for engagement or anything like that. I just offered what I felt was engaging content. You know, the picture post, weekend rewind, you know, doing a funny meme, you know, videos and such. Got on a schedule. I did it at the same time every day, and you know, and people responded to that. So yeah, I mean, this constant, you gotta keep moving. It carries over into many aspects of life, and I just, we going back to music, you know, we celebrate the exhausted artist, the guy who just tour after tour. You know, we celebrate something that's terribly unhealthy. And, but there again, you know, there are people out there that there's artists out there that if they stop recording today, they never have to work a day in their life. I mean, if Taylor Swift never released any new music, I'm sure she'd be just fine financially. Oh, yeah. But that's a small group of people. You know, there are other people that, you know, I heard about a band, I don't know who they are. They're from England, where they came on tour in the United States and they ended up losing like $13,000. That they're told, right. And they have day jobs and they use their vacation to come over and tour. God, and they still lost money. And they posted all their expenses and where the money came from and where the money went.
Seen that. Yeah.
I don't know the band. I never heard of them before. But you know, so you're like, okay, you know, burnout, exhaustion, you're away from your family and whatnot. But at the end of the day, what do you do? Because this is your job. Well, yeah. Because all the advice I've heard is take some time off. Well, what if you can't afford to?
Yeah. Well, I want to backpedal a bit and take it back to the kind of emotional side of the hustle equation. You know, Greg, you talked about beefing up your website. You know, always having a presence, and that's much easier for some people than others. It's much easier for some people to promote themselves and feel confident promoting themselves than others. And, you know, I think it's really important, Rich, when you speak about the podcast, you use the word product. I think it's important to view yourself in terms of a product. It can take away the emotional side of it to where, you know, you have your name out there. It's easy to fall into a trap of, well, why would people spend money for me? Who am I to charge this much for this service? Who am I to, you know? But as long as you have an understanding of what people in your area charge, what an accepted price is, you know, you have to be comfortable with the idea that people have money to spend, and why not you? You know, you can't think of it, which is easy for me to fall into. Well, what am I? You know, I'm not worth that. Why would I charge someone that? Why would they want to spend money for me to do this? But if you just kind of take away that aspect of it by just viewing it as, this is a product, I'm offering a musical product, here's the price. If you want it, good. If you don't, then I'll ask someone else. You know, if you can kind of get it to where you just kind of operate on autopilot in that way, it can make it easier to just put your name out there a little more than if you think about it emotionally too much, which is what I tend to do.
You know, I remember I pitched a gig a few years ago. I forget how the guy found me, and it was going to be, I don't know, 4 or 5 hour drives. It was in Georgia somewhere, Augusta or somewhere around there. And it was like a Thursday night or whatever. And I was like, well, I didn't really want to do the gig, and I was like, well, I think the fee should be $600, and I'm going to charge $400 in travel. That'll take care of a bit of mileage in a hotel, so $1,000. And I was like, look, if I don't have to go do the gig, that would be great. But the guy, he was like, yep, great, that price is great. And in fact, he called me and he said, because it was through one of these gig lead websites, and so like other people get the lead as well. He said, I had other people calling me going, oh, no, we can do it for cheaper than that. And he actually said to me, like verbatim, like, I wanted you because you know what you're worth. And he's like, I want to pay someone who will charge $1,000. Like, I don't want to have someone at my function that's just hustling and undercutting, so that's pretty good lesson learned.
Refreshing, actually, because there's definitely many people on the other side of that equation hiring for musicians that are just like, I'm sorry,
That's
you
true.
think you're worth this? Who are you, Paul McCartney?
Yes.
Like, you're that guy from Wales.
Yeah. He was in a popular band, I think. That reminds me of I don't know, something you said about undercutting reminded me of that movie Armageddon, where Steve Buscemi is not happy about going up into space, and they're taking off on the shuttle, and he looks over at somebody and goes, I just want to remind you, we're sitting on thousands of pounds of explosive gas and a spaceship with 375,000 moving parts that was built by the lowest bidder. Maybe I didn't get all the details right, but that's okay. So to build on that a little bit, and I know it's not necessarily what we were talking about, but I am curious. Would you be happy with taking less? Let's say you're trying to build something. Maybe you're coming in without any sort of reputation or whatnot. Are you okay with taking less to start with?
Once.
Okay.
Take a less price one time, so they can see if it works for them, if a crowd comes out, if it and then if the value is there for them, then they'll want it again. And I would do it for. I have a real problem pricing gigs. It's something I have to get more comfortable with, and I anticipate I'll be more comfortable with it as time progresses, and I am in these situations more. But the gig I got for us in Wake Forest, I would like, that was a well-attended gig. He said that was a really good night for them, and by all accounts that would be all right. Well, we'll do it again, but how about a little something for the effort, like Bill Murray said. But he was just like, well, that was, y'all are out of our price range, and thanks for the laughs, kind of. So like, but yeah, I think there is merit in, showing someone what your show's about, what you're about, and you can, make it a little bit easier for them and take a little bit off the first time. But I would do it just one time. Yeah.
Well, it depends if you're working for someone else.
Well, sure,
like if I mean, it has happened, but I try not to, get out of bed in the morning for less than a certain amount of money. Look, I'm not, far be it for me to say that, like, oh, you just have to charge $1,000 for a gig and you'll be fine. It's not that easy either. I don't know. You got to. I think you're right, Eric. Offering a discount to get your foot in the door is a strategy too. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I think people are going to remember attitude too. I think, especially in the musician's world, there's being easy to work with and being reliable and stuff. Those are really the best things you can do to help you get the amount of money you want. Just being professional at all turns throughout the process. That's the only way to go. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I should talk to my supervisor because I'm getting out of bed for a shockingly low amount of money.
And early too, right?
Oh God, I should probably go to bed now. And
right,
yeah, I haven't even gone back to work yet.
Is it enriching at all?
No, it's not.
Yeah, sometimes it's just
No. No. The only solace I have is like for an hour or so after I wake up, nobody talks to me. But I have to get up at 4:00 in the morning for that. So,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So come on, podcast.
Isn't the world beautiful and peaceful at that time of morning?
I got to tell you, you get to see a lot of beautiful sunrises, and then it's just completely ruined by the people that get on that thing. But oh well, whatever. Better days ahead, hopefully. The older I get, the more I see things a little more clearer, and of course, being associated with you guys, and like I said, now we're kind of 2 months out of the club closing, and you guys are picking up gigs, and we talk about it. I know you, Eric, you and I talk about it quite a bit, and I'm happy to see that because I know you were concerned, rightfully so. I mean, I think both of you were. Craig, I know you have a little more experience with this, but man, I mean, it wasn't it was a 2-month notice, and then you had to book gigs.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And and the whole thing about that is. I guess the biggest concern is that hustle culture can potentially turn something that you love into just another job. And it's funny because my wife, who's extremely talented she has all sorts of hobbies. She does painting, she does sewing, she does woodwork, and recently, actually, I'm looking at one right now. She's gone to making these handmade handbags out of denim, and she'll weave the denim, different colors of denim and whatnot. And she's made one for my daughter, one for my youngest son's girlfriend. She has one herself. And somebody said, well, why don't you start selling them? She goes, well, because then it would be a job and it wouldn't be fun anymore. She doesn't do a lot of selling of her products. Her mom was the same way. Her mom is a tremendous seamstress. Well, she was back in the day. She's kind of retired now, but at home, her mom has a $10,000 embroidery machine that she likes to make crafts for family and whatnot. And people ask her the same thing. Well, why don't you sell that stuff? She goes, because then it's a job, and then I don't like it. I like to do these things, and look, music is big in our lives, and I guess the biggest concern is that it becomes just a job, and boy, if that ever happened to me, I have interest outside of music, but if that ever happened to me, a big part of me would be missing, because. And of course, I want to make money being creative. I'd like to make a living out of being creative, but it's a fine line between making a living and then, it becoming just another job. And, that could potentially take that joy away. And if that happened, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. A big part of my identity would be gone. And I guess that's kind of the danger for some people. But then you have to weigh that with practicality, and that's where things get a little tricky.
Yeah, I mean, we could wax lyrical all afternoon, but
well, some of us have to go back to work.
Yes, indeed, that's right. I have a retaining wall to wash, to pressure wash.
Oh, lovely.
I got to go teach a piano lesson.
Oh, good for everybody. We all have stuff that we really don't want to do.
It's bringing the light into the world.
Yes. Well, Good for you guys. I will not be on such noble task today, but it is what it is. Well, hey guys, thanks. This has been good. I really enjoyed this topic. I was actually looking forward to it all day.
I like this topic a lot too. I like this topic.
Yeah. Same.
So everybody listening, thank you.
And give us more topics, please.
Absolutely, because we can come up with topics, but I think it'd be really cool if somebody suggested something, and we were able to do a show about that. So get on the stick, guys. Let us know, if you will. Of course, we're on all the usual suspects: Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Check us out. Share the show. Leave us a comment. So for myself, Eric Forbes, and Craig Hendry, we'll catch you next time.